This last lesson now, then, we're going to talk about how to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. Now, we've already talked about two ways to solve quadratic equations, and the one was by factoring, and the second one was by completing the square. So today we're going to talk about how to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. All right, well, in order to use a quadratic formula, first of all, the equation has to be written in standard form. So just like this here, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay? The second thing is you have to have degree 2. Quadratic equations are degree 2, so if you don't have something with an x squared in it, you wouldn't be able to use a quadratic formula. So if you had solved something like 2x minus or plus 1 equals 0, well, you can't. That's not a quadratic equation. Okay, you have to have a squared term, something like 3x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. That you could solve using the quadratic formula because it has degree 2 and it's in standard form. All right, so first of all, I just kind of wanted to show you where the quadratic formula came from. Well, what mathematicians did is they said, hey, if we have the standard form of a quadratic equation, if we just solve this for x, we can come up with a general formula that will work for any quadratic equation. We just have to know the a, the b, and the c values. So here's what they did. I'm going to try to show you. First of all, divide everything by a. When you complete the square, you don't want a coefficient in front of the x squared. So if you divide everything by a, you're going to get x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. All right, so the next step then is to complete the square. So you've got x squared plus b over ax plus blank equals something, and I'm going to put minus c over a. So I had to move that c over a over. So remember what we did. We took half the middle term, so half of b over a is b over 2a, and we squared it. And we added that to both sides. So if we square that, that's equal to b squared over 2a times 2a is 4a squared. So we're going to add b squared over 4a squared to both sides. So this is going to be x plus b over 2a squared equals, and now we have to add these together. Now, when you add these together, remember fractions, you need a common denominator. So I can make this, I need a 4a squared for the common denominator. So I have to multiply this by 4a on the top and the bottom. All right, so that's where I get the b squared. That's equal to b squared minus 4ac, and that's all over the 4a squared. All right, so then the last step is to take the square root of each side. Okay, so x plus b over 2a is equal to plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So the one last step then is to take, we want to solve for x, we want to get rid of this b over 2a, so x is equal to then negative b, we're going to move it to the other side, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All over 2a. Now I know that's crazy. I mean, you're like, how would I ever do that? But I think it's helpful, even though you maybe could never do it yourself, that's where the quadratic formula comes from. Okay, someone just didn't say, oh, this is cool, let's make everybody hate math and come up with this crazy formula. All right, here's a formula right here, then it looks much better, typed out, written out. But basically now, you can just put numbers into that formula and solve it really quickly. So here, my a value would be 1, the number in front of the x squared. My b value is 8, and my c value is 15. So if I follow this formula, I just go x is equal to the opposite of b, so negative 8, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which would be 8 times 8, so 64, minus 4 times a is 1, and c is 15, all over 2a, all over 2 times 1. So x is equal to negative 8 plus or minus, now here's where you have to be careful, 64 then minus, this is still going to be a negative, a minus 4 times 1 times 15 keeps that a negative. Sometimes if there's another negative in here somewhere, you're going to have a positive here. But that becomes 64 minus 60 all over 2. A common mistake that students do sometimes if they square b and b is negative, they say it's negative 64. This number here should never be a negative number if you're squaring something. So x is equal to negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 minus 60 is 4 all over 2. So x equals negative 8 plus 2 over 2, because the square root of 4 is 2, isn't it? And x equals negative 8 minus 2 over 2. So this gives me negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3. And it gives me negative 10 over 2, which is negative 5. So my solutions are x equals negative 3 and x equals negative 5. And that's how you use the quadratic formula to solve quadratic equations. Now, sometimes this doesn't work out. What if there was a 5 underneath here? Then you would just leave your answer as negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2, and you're done. But if you get a number underneath here that's a perfect square, go ahead and work it out, and you'll have your whole number answers. All right, so go ahead and try some practice problems. Print off the checkup maybe. You can ask me for some, or if you think you're ready to give it a try, you can go ahead. We're on section 3.6.3 and 3.6.4 on Apex. So you can go ahead and give those 2 quizzes a try. Good luck.